Computer.
All right. Thanks, Amy. Good morning, bon matin. My name is Leah Crowe. I am the Science and Monitoring Lead at the Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries. I started in this role in January. I am not a manager. I am a scientist, but I'm going to represent some of the work that we're doing collectively as a team. Some of this is pretty new. Okay, so on this talk, there's like 29 co-authors that represent 7 organizations, and this is just to highlight some of the ongoing collaborations we've had for several decades at the state, and also to represent some of the newer initiatives that have gotten off the ground and into the water in the last couple years. Also represents the growth in the protected species team at the Division of Marine Fisheries. And I do want to highlight that our team is based here in New Bedford. Okay. Okay, so Massachusetts, in our territorial waters of Massachusetts, we see up to 2/3 of the population annually. This is mostly occurring in Cape Cod Bay between January and May. The right whales are also seen in other coastal waters in Massachusetts, as well as the adjacent federal waters. Because of this high density annually, it's a great checkpoint for documenting human impacts, so entanglements, injuries, vessel strikes, etc. So because of this, there we go. DMF has partnered with the Center for Coastal Studies going back to 1998, funding aerial surveys to document the animals in the area, and then also having an ongoing partnership with the center to foster a 24-hour entanglement hotline and response network. Since that program, overall in that program in Massachusetts, the disentanglement team has disentangled 30 right whales in Massachusetts waters. Some of those whales have gone on to have calves and grand calves, cumulatively 16. And then I also want to highlight the habitat monitoring that has gone in Cape Cod Bay. MassDMF doesn't have the ability to support that work as much as we have in the past, but we still do sponsor some of those cruises every year, but it is an important aspect of the ecology in the area. Okay, so in most recent efforts, there's been some money that's come down from Congress. Those Consolidated Appropriation Acts in 2022, 23, 24. I'm going to really talk about the most recent ones, because this is where the money's come from for some of these ongoing science efforts that we've started in the last few years. Okay, so this money came because of this pause in the Atlantic large whale take reduction team regulation and rulemaking. So with that pause, there was this mandate to collect more information to see what rules really needed to be made, I guess. So this created proportional assistance to the states based on trap pot licenses. So these are the goals. The goals are to develop innovative fishing gear, to expand monitoring of right whales, and to assist fishers with the compliance of the Atlantic large whale take reduction team regulations. So the way DMF has implemented tackling these goals, okay, this is really delayed, so it's very daunting. So for number one, it's developing an on-demand gear research program to tackle that expansion of the monitoring of right whales. We've worked with CCS to expand right whale aerial survey monitoring. We've also developed in-house at DMF a passive acoustic monitoring network. And then number 3, provide gear marking and weak link inserts and other supplies for fishers to comply with those regulations. I'm going to briefly talk about 1. I'm not going to talk anymore about 3. People who tackle those things are in the room, and I can connect you with all the nitty-gritty details. I can try my best to answer the questions, but I'll probably defer to them. I really work in the space of number 2. Oh, yeah. And so the goal of all of this is to inform more effective management within state waters, but in all waters generally. Okay, where are we? Okay, so number 1, on-demand research gear. So at the on-demand gear research. So at the REPLIS Consortium, there was 2 people from the protected species, or 2 talks from the protected species program. So if you want to talk more about the implementation of an on-demand gear research program in Massachusetts, talk to Aaron, talk to David, talk to Emma. Also, they're all here today. And David also has some more information about some of the challenges with implementing the functional use of on-demand gear. Okay, so moving on to number 2, expanded aerial survey coverage. So some of what we're aiming to do with this money is to survey in Mass Bay every 10 days. So that's extending north from Cape Cod Bay in the regular survey area, really, that's been going on since the 90s. And also to extend monitoring into December in Cape Cod Bay. And then also in this map, there's a bunch of lines on there because there's lots of different survey configurations that can be used depending on what's going on in the area where whales might be detected. We can respond to that. Okay, all to collect information on the presence of right whales and other species. We are interested in other species at the state, and including their presence and their behavior, and also the presence of derelict fishing gear in closed areas. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this PAM program. We got this off the ground this year. So starting with the archival side, we deployed 17 stations starting in late March of this year. There's 17 bottom-mounted stations. They are sound traps, recording continuously at 48 kilohertz. We are going to be, well, we just started. We collected these starting in the end of August for the first time. So we do have data. We've got 15 of them back successfully. We still have hope for the last 2. But we'll be using the LFDC, well, we are using the LFDCS detector to find target signals of right whales and other baleen whales. We also have, yep, okay. So in this map, you can see the circle icons are the bottom mountain stations, and then we have the real-time network as well in collaboration with Hui, Mark and Jeff, and Julianne. So these went in late February 2025. There's one in Cape Cod Bay, and there's one off of Cape Ann. The one off of Cape Ann was originally cited for the northern section of the wedge, which was this area that wasn't included in the MRA. It was like this weird space in between. MRA means Massachusetts Restricted Area. And so earlier this year in February, the wedge was actually encompassed into the MRA. So we had an opportunity to move the buoy system. And so we took it, and we now have that site off Cape Ann in state waters where we have the jurisdiction to do some stuff. Okay, and we also have this website. So there's information on our current deployments at this website, at this QR code. You can download our positions of our instruments. You can see the track lines that we've taken because we are looking for animals while we're going out to these sites. You can see what we've been seeing. Also on this website are resources about other DMF programs and also the DMF advisories, which are related everything to our fisheries, but also the closures related to right whales. Okay, so I'm going to touch on some of the Massachusetts regulatory strategies that have been in place for quite a while, and also some that are more recent. So with fishing closures, this map is of the MRA, so Massachusetts Restricted Area, which is a closure for lobster and Jonah crab fisheries. It goes into place in February 1st. For the federal section, which is in blue, that gets lifted May 1st. For the section that's in yellow, that's the Massachusetts state waters portion, and we manage that dynamically for opening. That Massachusetts area is also close to all trap pots, so including whelk and conch, in addition to lobster and Jonah crab and any other trap pot fishery. There's a gillnet closure in that area starting January 1st, and there's mandatory haul out of recreational gear starting in November. So we do dynamically manage that state waters portion as well as the Massachusetts or the Cape Cod Bay speed restriction. So this is a picture of the area that is managed for 10 knots or less for a vessel of any size. And both of these are, did that come up? Yeah. So this all starts February 1st. We can manage the expectation at expecting opening at May 15th. That can be lifted if we have indication from aerial surveys, but also maybe the real-time buoy that animals aren't around anymore. It also can be extended if animals are staying later. So some other things that we do is that we haul gear in closed areas. So within the Massachusetts waters, that's our jurisdiction. So within these closure periods, and we also have the gear modifications. Okay, and just touching on this briefly, this is Brendan Riley's work. He's in charge of this, but In terms of removing derelict fishing gear within closed areas, there was an amendment that went into place earlier this year, which made it easier to kind of get rid of, to pull stuff that's in places it's not supposed to be. And so we refer to abandoned, lost, or otherwise discarded fishing gear as derelict. And so that means any fishing gear in this Massachusetts water section of the MRA can be hauled. Previously, this had to be done in close collaboration with MEP, Massachusetts Environmental Police. DMF staff now have the ability to do this independently. And so this is a summary of what Brendan and the team have hauled this year. So it's a combination of commercial wreck, lobster, conch, with most of it being hauled in southern Mass Bay, southern Cape Cod Bay, most of it not intentional violations. Okay, I know, Amy, I'm really behind. Okay, so this is just the positive detection periods on the real-time buoy. So we had a couple in Cape Ann, and then basically the moment Cape Cod Bay hit the water, we had positive detections, and that didn't stop until the second week of May. That's pretty matched up with what was, it was pretty matched up with what was happening with the visual surveys. And just for context, those 2 days of detections on the Cape Ann buoy triggered a dynamic acoustic slow zone, as well as an extension federally. And then you can just see where that matched up with the opening of the state waters that happened May 14th this year. And just want to say that in the last 10 years, 8 of those years, we've opened state waters after May 1st. This is going to be really fast. Okay, so we have other things in the works. So like, what are we doing with the data that we collect with CCS as well as with our PAM data? And so looking at within season movement, so this is just looking at animals from CCS and NEFSC data that were in Cape Cod Bay in the time that we really care about, that were in Cape Cod Bay, left and came back. So the point is that they do this and that it changes. So there's a lot of interannual variability. We've got effort, we have variability in effort, we have variability in behavior in the environment. And so whales, if we just look at 2018, I just want to show you this really quick. So this is just whales that connecting the dots around land. Every single line on that map is a question mark. But if we look a little closer at this, we have whales within season that go north out of Cape Cod Bay and come back. We have whales that go south down to southern New England and come back. We have whales that go to the east and come back. And sometimes those dots are between one day. So there's pretty dynamic animals out here. And I think this is related to a lot of things that people have talked about at this meeting so far and in the past. So we're going to keep looking at this stuff. We're going to try and model this with some, make it more fancy and quantify some of it, but also using the acoustic data to kind of fill in some of these gaps of those question marks that those lines really represent. So lots of other people, thank you so much.